Welcome to Speak for Yourself. I'm Joy Taylor here with LeVar Arrington and Rick Bucher. Marcella Smiley and Emmanuel Acho are off today, but we're going to keep it moving with our top story delivered by Pizza Hut. Order today at pizzahut.com. Aaron Rodgers is back in Green Bay, and he was in front of the media today. The Packers reportedly made a number of concessions for the reigning MVP, including voiding his final year in 2023, which sets up the possibility of him being traded after this season. Rodgers addressed a number of issues today, including what he was looking for from the front office. Let's take a listen.
The organization looks at me and my job as just a player. In my opinion, based on what I've accomplished in this league, the way I care about my teammates, the way I show up in the locker room, the way I lead, the way I conduct myself in the community, you should tie myself to a little bit more input. I do have a unique perspective on things, and I've been around a long time. And as I've talked to some other older players around the league, I think this is how it goes. You know, you get a little bit older, you see some of the dysfunction in organizations, and you either move on or try and help foster some change. And that's all I wanted to do, because I love this organization and I love being a Packer, and I've enjoyed my time here.
So, LeVar, was Aaron Rodgers' offseason a success?
Yes, it was, Joy. Hi, everyone out there. How you doing? This is LeVar Arrington, who has told you guys, all these people out there blowing this is the final dance horn for Aaron Rodgers. You can continue to blow that horn, play that guitar. That beat is not the right one. This man is playing masterful chess right now. I'm going to keep going on my chess references. This was a successful off year for Aaron Rodgers because he created a conversation that is geared and dedicated towards what he wants it to be, which is the focal point of decision-making by the front office of the Green Bay Packers. While he created this narrative, Joy, by the way, with no quotes from him, Buddy was hosting episodes of Jeopardy in April, attending the Kentucky Derby, looked real cool, like had his little swag going, you know, little drip. Went on vacation in Hawaii. Yeah, you know, he was doing all that. Oh, yeah, he played a little golf match that was like nationally televised. He was with Tom Brady, all them people, you know, professional golfers. Yes, who has an off season like that? Aaron Rodgers. And then he comes back and stands in front of the media, faces the media, and they get the quotes that everyone is looking for. The first quotes where you can say, I can definitively attach to Aaron Rodgers what he feels, what he thinks. Making it a point to say, I've been around, I got a great resume, I need a little input. I got experience. I have unique perspective. Help foster change. I've seen dysfunctional organizations before. I love being a Packer, and I've loved my time here. You guys can try to go down the lane you want to go. That sounds like someone who is continuously, strategically positioning the conversation to be the way that he wants it to be. Go ahead, you can have it, Rick. I'm good. I rest my case. Yeah. I rest.
The first mistake you made, you put it in the wrong tense.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't speaking in present tense. He didn't say, I enjoy my time here. He said, I enjoyed my time here, past tense. He talked about everything in past tense. So
he said, I love being a Packer. That's current.
This was not a successful offseason. LeVar, being able to vacation well is not the same as being able to leverage a organization well. He ultimately did not get what he wanted. No, he didn't. He ultimately wanted to be, first of all, number one, he wanted control, more control and more input over what they were doing. If you're going to look at bringing Randall Cobb back as being the be-all and end-all of having input on the organization, I don't know what to tell you. To me, that's not quite enough, and I don't believe it was enough for Aaron Rodgers. His next plan was, okay, if I can influence the organization, then let me get up out of here. Well, he wasn't able to do that either. So, I referenced The Beautiful Mind and feeling like Russell Crowe, the mathematician John Nash, and being in the garage and trying to figure out exactly where you were coming from, LeVar, in terms of he had this master plan that really worked. And I went back into the garage last night, and I finally figured out exactly where you were coming from. And you're right. Aaron Rodgers did have a plan, and he did execute it. But it was plan C. It wasn't plan A, which was, I'm going to be able to influence how this organization operates, and I'm going to have the people that I want or don't want in the front office. And he didn't get that. So B was, well, then let me get up out of here. He didn't get that. So plan C was, let me just kind of see whatever I can put together and maybe lop off a year from my contract and make it look like I actually accomplished something, when in the end, I didn't execute either plan A or plan B.
Go ahead, Joey.
Listen, this is Aaron Rodgers' world, and we're just living in it.
Okay, talk to me.
Very rarely do you see such a dub and such an L served up in a press conference like we watched today.
Don't talk to me.
You said, LeVar, that we could keep playing that tune
Yes.
of The Last Dance if we want to. I'm playing the violin, and it's for the Green Bay front office.
You set me up.
Let me explain.
All right, go ahead, please.
All right, let's start. You're saying he didn't execute his plan, Rick. Aaron Rodgers played this perfectly. As LeVar said, we never heard from Aaron Rodgers. We heard from Aaron Rodgers' former teammates, from friends. We saw him enjoying his offseason. He talked about how much he would love to do Jeopardy. He did Jeopardy. He's in Hawaii with his beautiful fiance. He's living his life. He's talking about on the match how he doesn't know what's going to happen. He's really enjoying his offseason, his me time. There he is at training camp in front of the media.
On time.
Facing everyone, with complete humility, admitting he loves the city, he loves the organization. All he wants is some respect, some input. He feels like going into his 17th year, 16 years with that organization, 13 years as a starter. He's earned that right. He just wants to set the tone for a good culture. He feels like guys who have given their heart and soul to that organization were sent off disrespectfully. He didn't appreciate that. He felt like that should change. He just wants to give his all and win. I mean, how great did he sound at that press conference? The only thing that you could pick apart is if you happen to live in Green Bay and you don't like the idea that it's not a vacation destination. As someone who vacations as all summer because I have nothing else to do because I'm single and have no pets or plants, I'm not going to Green Bay.
Or plants.
So I can, they all died. I can attest it's not a vacation destination. I killed all the succulents. I know, it's impossible. But that's besides the point. The point is, he nailed it today. We didn't know what was going on. He's been accused of being selfish, making the offseason about him. He's a diva. He's aloof. He's passive-aggressive. He was perfect today. You couldn't be more perfect. And here's the bottom line. It still plays out in his favor at the end of the season because he got that deal. And even though some people feel, Rick, that this is not a good deal for him, it's actually great. Because if the season ends up being terrible or it's a disappointment or they win a Super Bowl, however it ends, at the end of the day, Aaron can still say, but I came in here upset. I wanted all these things changed. I really don't feel like they've changed. I feel like I've had to overcome this. We've had to overcome this as a team, but the front office still remains the same. So I still want to leave. Well, that's all in place. They still have to come to the table at the end of the season. So that's still in his favor. And now he's set the tone for the fan base that he really wasn't happy this offseason. He really didn't feel appreciated. So they're already kind of warmed up to the idea of him not being there. And here's the best part for Aaron Rodgers. If he does end up leaving, Green Bay front office, you better hope Jordan Love is ready to go because you really went all in and not including Aaron Rodgers in the process, and he's made it clear through that press conference. I mean, that was a win for Aaron Rodgers today.
Joy, you kind of like were walking in my yard, clipping some of my shrubs, and I told you to get off my yard because you killed all of your
I killed all my plants.
But you're walking in and out of my yard, walking in and out of my yard.
I don't fully agree with you.
You don't have to fully agree with me, but here's what I'll say. First with you, Rick. You know who you are since you want to use movie references. I'm going to tell you who you are, Rick.
Yeah.
You're that detective in Usual Suspects. And you're sitting there and you got it all figured out. You had your plan verbal and you did this and da-da-da. And you were a part of it. And Kaiser Sose was this and Kaiser Sose was that. And you did that. And Verbal Kent is just telling you all these stories using all of these different props and things that are around the office. And then you had no real conclusion and you let him go. You let Aaron Rodgers go. And Aaron Rodgers walked out, Verbal Kent, in that interrogation room that you had him in, and he had his little walk. And then he came out of the front door, Rick, and by the time he came and turned back into Aaron Rodgers, Kaiser Sose, he was too far gone for you to catch up to him and get him. He's too far ahead of you right now, Rick Bucher. Yeah. He is too far ahead of you right now. I'm just trying to tell you, and that's the truth of this story.
You had the detective part right.
Yes.
I'm not buying the Aaron Rodgers story right now.
Okay.
Was it a great press conference?
Yes.
Absolutely. Aaron Rodgers is an intelligent, personable guy. He put about as good a face on this as you possibly could, and far better than anybody from the front office has. I give him that. And I agree with Aaron Rodgers that he deserves to have that input. But has he gained that input? No, he didn't get it from the very beginning.
Process
he didn't
working
get
itself
it when he
out.
wanted it.
They say trust the process, Rick. You know this, man. Trust the process. The process is still playing out.
They're not going to suddenly hand over the reins to Aaron Rodgers when they haven't done it all this time.
Okay.
And he knows it, which is why he wants to be someplace else.
Time is winding down.
And still, even though he's getting the year off, even though it puts him in a slightly better position, the fact of the matter is the Green Bay Packers still have a say in where he goes. If they don't re-sign him.
Don't plead the joy. You're going to try to bring joy in your yard. Joy wasn't in your yard, Rick. She didn't come into your yard. She came into my yard, Rick.
I'm in my yard.
She wasn't in your yard.
I don't have a yard. I have like dust and stones because I can't keep plants alive.
We're all on a show right now.
Yes,
stop turning this into real estate.
Yes. In my real estate, okay, I don't agree with either one of you. I think Aaron Rodgers got a lot. I think there were concessions on both sides.
In my yard.
And when he came out today, the face of the organization, you're right, a very intelligent guy, a very measured man, he nailed it. And PR wars matter. That's what they did all offseason. Oh, the front office, he doesn't really care about Green Bay. We're not going to include him in this, and we're not going to include him in that, and we don't know what's going on. And, all this talk from the front office, and then Aaron Rodgers living his life, not talking about the Packers. The PR battle matters, and right now, Aaron Rodgers just won it. Now, I'm not a Packers fan, but I certainly would have loved to hear everything that I heard from Aaron Rodgers today. I thought he had full transparency. He was very open. He was very vulnerable. And if you don't think that stuff matters, that's what this is about. What are Packers fans signing up for this year? What are they looking forward to next year? And he wants inputs. And if he's not going to get it, like you're saying they're not going to turn it over to him, great. Fine. Don't turn it over to me because you've given me the year off of my contract. I'm tradable next year. And if you don't give me the input, which I've very, very humbly asked for, I'm out of here, and good luck with your future.
This was, but this was not a PR battle. This was a power battle. He ended up winning the PR battle because he put himself in a bad place for a guy who's
I agree with Lamar. It's still a power battle. Whoever's winning with the fan base, whoever's winning with the media at this point with the Green Bay Packers organization has the power. Because how are we going to look at the Green Bay Packers front office?
But that's not what Aaron Rodgers was looking for.
Aaron just took it today.
Yes, he is. He admitted it. He admitted that he wants to come to work. He wants to exercise his competitive muscle in a place that is positive, that is kind to its veterans when they part ways, that solicits the input of a man that's been in the building for 16 years, probably the longest of everyone in that front office. He knows how things work. He knows the organization. He knows the city. Yes. Yes, all that matters.
So
Speaking.
that's changed?
No, Rick. No,
no, but if it doesn't, see you guys later.
Rick, we're done here.
Season.
We're done here, Rick. Yeah, we're done. Like Joy shut it down, and I'm going to shut it down and take us to break, all right? Speaking of shutting it down, we're going to find out if Russell Wilson, who thinks, they're going to be really good this year and he's going to have his best year yet, we're going to tell you if we agree. Next on Speak For Yourself. Let's head out to Seattle. Everything seems calm now after an offseason of drama. Russell Wilson recently said his relationship with Pete Carroll is stronger than ever, and he's already raved about the team's new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. So, Wilson tweeted his outlook for this season with, quote, best year yet. Oh, so Rick, tell us, 2021, is this going to be Russell Wilson's best year yet?
Finally, we're getting to somebody who won the offseason. Yes, this will be Russell Wilson's best year with the Seahawks. It just won't be the best year for the Seahawks with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's numbers are going to go up. They've been going up the last 3-4 years in everything you can think of. Completion percentage, yardage, QBR. And now he has a new offensive coordinator who is not going to play that plodding style. At least that's what we've been told. The plodding style that they have been playing for umpteen years. They're going to play up-tempo. It's going to be faster, but it's going to play more to Russell Wilson's strengths. At least that's what Russell Wilson is telling us. So from a statistical standpoint, I fully expect that Russell Wilson's numbers are going to go up as they've been going up the last 3-4 years. He's in his absolute prime. And with the offense that they have around him, the improved offensive line, the familiarity he has with his wide receivers, Chris Carson being back, then I fully expect that they're going to hum when it comes to offense. It's just a matter of overall, with where they are in the division that they're in, I don't expect them to win a Super Bowl, and that's where the bar is set for the Seahawks.
I really like the Seahawks this year, Rick. I really, really do. I think they're going to win this division. I think they're in the best position to win this division. I think that early offseason drama. No buts. No buts. I love Russell Wilson's eternal optimism. I am all in on it. Do you know that Russell Wilson has never received an MVP vote? How embarrassing. Josh Allen received 4 votes this season. Carson Wentz had 2 votes. Derek Carr got 6 votes in 2016. Even Dak Prescott has had an MVP vote. I think this is Russ's year. I think they're going to win the division again. They're in the best position of everyone as far as running it back. You have Matthew Stafford, a new quarterback, and they just lost Cam Akers with the Rams. We don't know what the Arizona Cardinals are quite yet. Still feel like they're a year away. Jimmy Garoppolo with San Francisco is always a question mark, even though I do think they're overall going to be more healthy than they were last year. And if Jimmy Garoppolo does go down, they've got Trey Lance, who's a rookie quarterback who has not played in a football game in 2 years, although I do think he is the future of the organization. What did they add? You just mentioned they have a new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. They added Gerald Everett, Gabe Jackson. They re-signed Chris Carson, Carlos Dunlap, extended Tyler Lockett. They have Rashad Penny and Bruce Irvin returning from injury. I think the Seahawks are in a great spot. As you mentioned, Russell Wilson is in his prime. He's very dedicated. He's overall positive. I don't think there's any drama between him and Pete Carroll anymore. I think this is the Seahawks' year. Obviously, you have Tampa Bay, who is to be reckoned with, and Aaron Rodgers is back in Green Bay. We'll see how that goes this season. I think the Seahawks are stable. I think Russell Wilson's ready to go, and it could be a very, very big year for the Seahawks.
Russell Wilson starts off with a tweet talking about best year yet. I want to dissect that very quickly. This will not be Russell Wilson's best year yet. Now, before I go into why not, I want to break down the whole best year yet. He has a Super Bowl. Was he a Super Bowl MVP? Oh, no, okay. He wasn't a Super Bowl MVP. Okay, he's made a Super Bowl appearance. Came up short. Joy, you mentioned that he doesn't have any yet to be on the radar for the MVP of the year. But yet, he's talking about this is the best year yet. So basically what this tweeted quote means is he's still yet again, like last offseason, trying to position himself to win the MVP award. This is a selfish move by Russell Wilson.
Come on.
Very selfish, very self-absorbed, maybe. Could be the best word. Why? Because you already have a Super Bowl. So how is this the best year yet? It would have to all be driven and derived from personal success. Getting an MVP and winning the Super Bowl. Winning the Super Bowl and getting Super Bowl MVP. So basically, Russ is trying to rally up all of the troops. Hey, me and Pete Carroll are cool. I love my offensive coordinator. This is going to be our best year yet. Why? Because you think you're going to be the catalyst of this team winning the Super Bowl. You cannot go into the season with that mentality. You play your best football and be the best team player that you can be, Russ. By trying to be more than what you are going to come up short yet again. And you're setting yourself up for everybody to be able to feast on all of your shortcomings that take place. Just get to work. If I'm the toughest dude in the yard, I don't have to walk around the yard and tell dudes I'm the toughest dude in the yard. Somebody come my way, I'm going to chip you too. That's what it's going to be. So I don't like this. And I don't think this is going to be his best year yet because it's putting pressure on him to try to be something that I just don't believe he is.
All this time I've been positioning myself as Russell Crowe and John Nash and that whole thing. And I suddenly realized it's not me. It's LeVar. LeVar is in the garage coming up with these, seeing things that are not there. He puts out a tweet that says best year yet. And you see it as this insidious, I want to be MVP.
He does.
Like, how do you get from that to there?
Because that's what it is.
I have no idea. This is the problem.
What does he want to be, Rick?
This is the problem, LeVar.
What does he want to be?
Russell Wilson is feeling good about where he is right now and where the Seahawks are right now. And what scares you is that Russell Wilson thinks that's his license as a result of winning the offseason battle for me to go ahead and eat, for me to go ahead and play the way I did at the beginning of last year and see if I can put those numbers together. And yes, win an MVP on my way to trying to win a Super Bowl. And you don't believe that that is the formula for the Seahawks to be successful. And I'm not going to argue with you on that
because it's not.
But, okay,
it's not.
Fair. But him putting out a tweet at this point and saying, best year yet, and suggesting that that means that Russell Wilson is just all about trying to win MVP and not win football games.
No, I didn't say that.
Is there a hologram? Is there a backside to that tweet that you can see that I can't? Because I'm not seeing that.
You put that in you put those words. I didn't say he doesn't want to win football games. You got to win football games to be able to win the MVP award. But best year yet, if you've already won the Super Bowl.
Generally, the teams that have the MVP tend to be
winning.
Moderately good.
They're winning.
I'm convinced that, Rick, you and I are in the Matrix and LeVar is seeing the code. This point.
I am seeing the code.
I mean, look,
I'm dodging
probably
bullets.
reading a little bit too much into this, but I think overall, Russell Wilson aiming to win the MVP is not the worst thing for the Seahawks. I understand what you're saying, that you don't, the let Russ cook thing didn't necessarily work out exactly as they wanted to. I mean,
it never worked.
It did. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I do think you need some balance within the offense as well. You're going to have to keep the other defenses in that very tough division honest.
Yes, you're right, Joy. It didn't work.
LeVar, you're saying that if he guns for MVP, that's not going to be good for the Seahawks. That's exactly
I'm not
what
saying,
you're saying.
He didn't say he was gunning for MVP. All he said was best year yet.
I'm saying he wants the MVP. He's campaigning for MVP. To get MVP would make it the best year yet because he's already accomplished everything else.
Why
so
can't
how
he
does it make
Super
it?
Bowl?
How do you say this is best year yet when you already won a Super Bowl?
He's got his whole family now.
Answer me that.
Maybe it's different this time around.
So now we're taking it to home life. I'm gonna tell you where I take it.
You're the one that's digging into this tweet.
Let me tell you where I'm taking this, Joy Taylor. I'm taking it into every single locker room and I'm printing it out and I'm putting it on the bulletin board because that's bulletin board material. I feel good about this year.
Tweet
Absolutely Let me tell you something from experience.
Yes.
I've hunted.
The only person who should be offended is Aaron Rodgers.
Nobody's saying to be offended. It's motivation. If a quarterback before one snap for the 2021 season that's taking place says best year yet.
Don't you believe in manifestation?
I'm putting it on. We're putting it on the bulletin
Speak it
board.
into existence.
And dudes like me that when there's full moon go on all fours and howl at the moon will be hunting Russell Wilson, and I will go after him more.
They were going to be hunting him anyway.
I'm hunting more now than I would have before because the man just sat there and said on his social media that this is going to be the best year yet. I'm sorry. I ain't with that. I don't buy it.
I'm on all the quarterback sides today.
I don't buy it.
Go, Russ, go.
Go,
Aaron,
Russ, go.
Yeah.
I do think this is going to be a big year.
Going back to my garage.
Coming up, we'll give our thoughts on Simone Biles withdrawing from the individual all-arounds at the Olympics. That is next.
Can't believe y'all. Go.
U.S. Olympic star Simone Biles has withdrawn from tomorrow's individual all-around competition. This follows her removing herself from the team final after one rotation on the vault. Biles said after Team USA won the silver medal, quote, "I have to focus on my mental health." So, Joy, what's your reaction to Simone withdrawing from the individual all-around?
Well, first I want to say to Simone that we love you and support you, and you've had an amazing career and have represented the United States impeccably. Simone has won 25 world medals. That's the most in gymnastics history, men or women. She won 5 Olympic medals in 2016. She has 4 skills on the floor named after her, on floor, beam, and vault. Her 5 2016 Olympic medals tied for the most by a U.S. gymnast. She's so dominant that ahead of the game that the judges don't actually know how to properly rate her. That's how skilled she is. If she never went to Tokyo, if she never competed again, she would right now be the greatest in history in her sport. And that's not my opinion. That's just the math. Now let's move on to the other side of this, which is the conversation that everyone is having now. She's also a sexual abuse survivor from the team doctor in the sport that she has competed in for her entire life and still accomplished all of those things in spite of that. She said in an interview in April that she wasn't just competing to be a part of gymnastics anymore. She wanted to be the remaining survivor so that that conversation continued. So she admitted this is bigger than gymnastics for her before the Olympics ever even started. She's handled all of that in her career with grace, with poise. She's an ultimate champion, the top of her sport. Honestly, how dare you call her a quitter? How dare you? She did all of this, the top of her sport, in spite of all of that. And she needed a moment for herself, and people are calling her a quitter. The conversation is mental health, right? Mental health is just health. It's just health. We almost need to stop calling it mental health because the stigmas around talking about mental health immediately trigger people to be defensive or call you crazy or call you selfish and start judging how it is you're handling yourself. Everyone, if she hurt her ankle, everyone would be ranting and raving what an incredible career she's had, all of her accomplishments, how in spite of this injury, she's still the greatest to ever do it. Thank her for going to Tokyo in spite of a COVID year with added pressures and procedures and the pressure of being there without your family and support system. But because she's saying it's mental health, which, by the way, if you're a gymnast and you're not locked in, you could be paralyzed, really injured, or possibly even die. So if you're not locked in, it's literally a physical issue as well. If she was saying it was her ankle hurt, everyone will be fine with it. Because she's saying it's mental, there's pushback. We just have to separate mental health from health. Your mental health is health.
You know, I commend Biles as well. And listen, it's sad that she even had to come out and say she's withdrawing because she has to focus on her mental health. It's interesting because when we look at situations, if she had went on the vault and broke her ankle, if she had torn her ACL, if she had broke her wrist, you know what would happen? Everybody would have rushed to her. You know who's everybody? Probably her coach. And who else? The athletic trainers. Now, it's interesting because these things happen in every sport. When an injury takes place, you see people rush to the aid of the person to help them and aid them. We're okay if you get carted off and you say, I have to withdraw. We're okay if people have to help you off, carry you off. It's acceptable because you were able to create closure for the experience. It's okay. But for her to have to say, I have to focus on my mental health, and she had to say it, and there wasn't an athletic trainer that's there for mental health, like physical health, to say that Simone has to focus in on her mental health, and we will give you details if necessary, when needed, at the appropriate and proper time. It further raises the conversation. It further raises the issue of why is it that mental health is not synonymous with physical health? Why is physical therapy important and not mental therapy? You'll go to one of these universities, one of these pro facilities. You'll go into there and you'll see an amazing place to practice. You'll see an amazing place to work out. They'll put millions of dollars into weights and training to build you up strong, to be able to compete at the highest level. If something goes wrong and you get hurt, they have every single knowledge and discipline to be able to treat, from a fingernail being hanging from your hand to something that happens to your head, to something that happens to your toe. Every inch of your body can be treated in this amazing state-of-the-art facility. But where's the facility for mental health? Where are the people on site for mental health? And that is where the problem lies, and that is where the conversation has to go, Rick. And to have Simone Biles to be as a big a personality, as big a success story as she has been, have to take the weight of that on her own and not have the support of the team take the front and take the lead of saying, this is real, this is serious. She should not have had to do that. And it certainly should not go down the lane of calling her a quitter when looking at what her body of work has been, and also understanding how hard it would take to achieve and get to the level of where she is to even compete in the first place.
Yeah, Simone Biles is forcing us to have a conversation about a difficult subject, and a subject that we don't necessarily have the language to treat appropriately or have the knowledge and the insight collectively. And I think you're seeing it because it's being discussed around the sports world by a lot of people who don't have any particular insight into exactly what's going on with Simone Biles. But I applaud that because our progress has always come from having difficult conversations, uncomfortable conversations, as our man Emmanuel Acho pointed out, uncomfortable conversations with a black man, and utilizing that to improve race relations and understanding between all people. And so that's where I believe that she is taking us. And it's part of the same evolution. You mentioned it, LeVar, that like there was a time where you were just supposed to rub dirt on a physical injury, suck it up, play with it. You were soft if you didn't play through that injury. And we've gotten smarter now about how we approach that physical aspect of the game. And I dare say that now the next step for us is to understand that mental health can have the same impact. It used to be like we could make those, he's a quitter, because we'd look at somebody who physically broke down and wasn't able to continue. And we applauded those athletes who, in spite of whatever was going on, physically trudged through it, win or lose. We've gotten smarter about the damage being done when athletes do that. And now we need to get smarter about the damage being done when we ask athletes to go through the same thing mentally. We can't see inside of an athlete's body to know how they're being affected physically when it comes to an injury. To suggest somebody, oh, he should be able to play with that, or she should be able to play with that. That we learned that was foolish to take that and make that a public statement. Now we're kind of doing the same thing with the mental health. We can't look into Simone Biles' head and know what's going on there any more than we could look inside her body. And so we just need to learn to be smarter and better. The difficulty here for me is we're asking a Simone Biles and a Naomi Osaka to be the spokespersons and the people to educate all of us on what's going on. And they're just learning about it themselves. What the treatment is for it, how to approach this, what's going on. Like, that's a very difficult position for them to be in. And the problem is for those who want to just dismiss it as being soft, then it leaves the opening for them to be critical of the subject just because of the conversation or how it's being delivered. And that's where, Simone Biles and Naomi and the sports world need help from people who can better understand and explain exactly how the mental health aspect of this puts athletes in jeopardy if they continue to try to compete in spite of the fact that mentally they're just not all there.
Well, sports is a microcosm of society, and mental health is a huge conversation that has stigmas in many communities all around the world. So very often we see sports as a catalyst for change with social issues, racial issues, gender issues, age issues, all kinds of things. And sports is the catalyst that changes that and sometimes sparks the conversation and moves the rest of the world outside of sports forward. So, yes, everyone has to deal with their mental health, which is really just health. Your brain is inside of your body. Your spirit, your emotions are inside of your body. But there is a stigma around speaking out. And you're seeing why when you see the reaction that people have towards these athletes when they do say, hey, I need this, and I need help here, or I need a moment, or I need this space. Aaron Rodgers talked about it today. He needed some space. He took his time in the offseason to focus on him. That is not abnormal to any human person. Everyone needs that. We all deal with that. But because we have these expectations of athletes and they are a bit dehumanized because of the fact that they're on our televisions, we root for them, the money that they make, they become these figures instead of humans with the same factors and emotions and physical elements that the rest of us have. So I think, sports can be a catalyst for change in that space. So I agree with you, Rick. It's a bigger conversation that we have to have in society. And I'm just glad that the team and, USA Gymnastics and, many of the other Olympians are supporting her, including Michael Phelps, who spoke very openly about his mental health issues when he was competing and afterwards. And it's a big conversation. And, obviously we're wishing her well and appreciate all of the amazing accomplishments that she's given us throughout her career.
Yeah, well said by both of you. And support to you, Simone Biles. You get well. Take all the time you need. Coming up, we're staying with the Olympic team, USA basketball. They got an easy win last night. We'll tell you if they're going to cruise for a gold medal. Next on Speak for Yourself.
Let's head back to Tokyo. Team USA bounced back from their opening loss to France by blowing out Iran by 54 points. Damian Lillard led the way with 21 points and 6 players were in double figures. Lillard said it was, quote, time to start looking like Team USA. So, Rick, do you expect USA basketball to cruise to a gold medal in Tokyo?
No, I do not expect them to cruise to a gold medal. Do I think they will win a gold medal? Yes, I do. But we haven't cruised to a gold medal we've won 3 consecutive gold medals, and we didn't cruise to any of them. In 2008, we ended up beating Spain in the championship game by 11 points. But it was a 4-point game with 2.5 minutes left. In 2012, we had to come back to beat Lithuania in the preliminary games. And then the 107-100 win in the championship game, again over Spain, is only the second closest game in Olympics finals history. And then we go to 2016, we had 2 3-point wins in that run. And again, a challenge in the semifinal, beating Spain 82-76. So can we do it? Yes, we can do it. Are we going to cruise in the typical fashion of 20-plus wins that we were used to from the Dream Team in 92 when we first started sending pros? No, that hasn't been in the cards for years, and it's certainly not in the cards for this particular Team USA.
I'm back in my garage because I'm using my yarn and I'm connecting them up. And I do think they're going to cruise the rest of the way. All those things that you're talking about, those struggles, I think they got that all out of the way in that loss with France. Embarrassment is sometimes the great equalizer. That's a wake-up call. They got punched in the mouth. They took the best punch that they're going to get in this Olympic run. You know why? Because they didn't approach it the way they're approaching it now. It's a wake-up call. This game that they got against Iran that they just won, they showed that, okay, now it's time to focus. Now we got to dial in. And the things that you and I talked about, Joy, in terms of what Coach Popovich needed to have them doing, I'll give Rick this much, and I'll give him a tad bit of credit. The players took this lighter than what they should have. They're not going to do that the rest of the way. Now, when I say cruise, I don't know that they're going to blow everybody out by 40. But I don't think that they will be in danger of losing a game the rest of the way, Joy.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't think they're going to cruise either, but I definitely think it's going to be a lot of competitive basketball moving forward. I don't want to take too much from beating Iran the way that they did. We were favored by 39.5 points. So it's not like this was, if they won by 20, it would have been a shock. So I think they did what they were supposed to do in this game. Moving forward, it is going to be more competitive. But I think this was a good palate cleanser for Team USA. What I did like about what I saw last night was, and Kevin Durant talked about this, that everyone was being a little unselfish in the first game. Everyone was kind of just deferring, and there wasn't a whole lot of NBA basketball stardom that we see in the NBA with these stars translating to Team USA. That's what makes these guys great. And they didn't have that. They were very aggressive. Everyone kind of got into their flow. Dame hit his shots. Everyone was going for it. And that's really what you want to see, because they don't have a lot of continuity. They don't have time together. They don't have a lot of the chemistry that these other teams have. While we do have more talent, that isn't an advantage, if you will, that these other countries have. So we're not going to generate that. That needs time. That needs space. So what do we do have? A lot of talent. So let's just let them go be talented. And I think that's what you saw last night against, obviously, an inferior opponent. So you don't want to overreact to it. But they've spent a little time together now. Like Dame said, it's feeling like Team USA. They're eating together. They're spending time together in the hotel. They're talking about game plans. They're figuring out what it is that they need to do to win. And I do think that loss to France sparked a little something. Not that I don't think they don't care, because they wouldn't be in Tokyo, especially in a year like this with all the COVID protocols and everything that's being asked of them, if they didn't care. But I do think that the reaction of everyone expects you guys to win. We don't lose to France. We don't lose badly. We don't lose at all. This is the standard, and we better keep it for Team USA. I think that has brought this team together, and this was a good game for them to do that in, because it was not a really tough opponent.
Yeah, it's actually, LeVar, your approach that they're always supposed to cruise is what puts this in the wrong context. Because now I was just glad to see that they won by more than 39.5. If they hadn't beaten the spread, then people would have looked at it and said, oh, you know what, this team's still sloughing. Yeah. They're not meeting expectations because they didn't win by 40 against Iran. So that's, I feel as if we need to put it in proper context what they're doing. And one of the reasons, Laura, that I do believe in this team is because of the chemistry that I see and the pride being shown. They did respond against Iran. They did play harder. They shot better. I don't know that Greg Popovich made them shoot better. I think they just shot better. So I'm not putting it on Pop. But I will give them this when it comes to the relationship between the players and Greg Popovich. I see a lot of great communication and chemistry there as well. When Damian Lillard comes off the floor and Pop stops him to talk, and Damian Lillard stops and puts his arm around Pop while they have that conversation, or when Pop is talking to the guys on the bench and all eyes are on him and they are clearly listening to what he wants, that shows me a respect for what Popovich is doing that I'm not necessarily getting from the media or social media. And that, to me, is a really good sign, because I've seen Team USAs that did not have that kind of chemistry between the coach and the players, or the players collectively. That's the other part. You got a lot of stars here coming together for the first time, all competing against each other most of the year. And what I've seen is a collective understanding and desire to live up to what the expectations are for Team USA, no matter how high they might be.
Well, it's because they felt bad. They saw the quotes that Joy had about Popovich letting them down as a coach, so they figured they had to step it up. That's all it was.
The bulletin board material.
That was the
for
bulletin
Team
board
USA.
material.
Okay.
Yes. So here's one more point that I'll make. Right, that stiff dose of reality that they received when they played against France. That wake-up call was one of those things where you could be KD, who people believe to be the best basketball player on the planet right now. Anybody on this team, champion of the finals this year, whoever it may be, if you lose or you come up short in the Olympics, it's a stain that you cannot remove. You will not be able to remove that stain. So the reason why I believe they will cruise the rest of the way is that they are going to wage war on every single team they play from here on out, all the way up until they get away from that team. And it will not go all the way into the fourth quarter. In my humble estimation, I think there's that much pride on the line. I think that they feel that they have to win in emphatic fashion now, so that the memory of this team, this Olympic team, is not going to be scrambled up in the facts that they weren't that good. They might be the worst USA basketball team to ever represent the country in the Olympics. These guys don't want that. There's too much pride, as has been mentioned repeatedly, too much pride on this team for them to go out that way. And that's why I think they will play like super, super assertive basketball early on in games. And I just don't think that a focused group with that type of talent, there's not a team in the world, or maybe even like, the whole Space Jam thing. I don't think there's a team in the galaxy that would be able to deal with these guys on a focused level. And that's why I think they're going to cruise.
LeVar, I hope you're right, but the Nigeria and Australia exhibition losses didn't prevent the France loss from happening.
Yeah, but I still think it was a casual approach, Rick. Like, those were exhibitions.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you can casually be like, that's an exhibition.
France wasn't.
And now it's real.
Wasn't.
Correct. Now it's real.
Okay.
Now it's real. It's like you went to your
France
freshman year.
isn't even the best team that they're going to see. Australia and Spain, they're likely to see one of those two still. And I believe that they should win. I'll give you that, especially if they shoot the way they did
They're going
against
to beat them up.
Iran. But
they will beat them up.
But is it going to be competitive? I would fully expect it's going to
competitive.
I think it's going to be competitive as well. But you make a good point, LeVar. You lose a NBA Finals, you can run it back next year.
Mm-hmm.
You lose an Olympics.
Got 4 years to wait.
That's
May not
history.
Return.
Yep. Speaking of basketball, tomorrow night's NBA draft is featured on the free-to-play Fox Bet Super 6 app. Scan the QR code below, download the app, and answer 6 questions about the draft for your shot to win $1,000. Coming up, a familiar face is joining Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. We'll tell you what impact Randall Cobb will have on the Packers. Next.
Aaron Rodgers is back in Green Bay, at least for this season. Now he'll be joined by a former teammate. Reports say the Texans are trading Randall Cobb back to where it all started for the wide receiver. Cobb spent his first 8 seasons in Green Bay, and Rodgers could not be happier for the reunion. Take a listen.
I'm really excited Randall's coming back. He's obviously a dear friend and a guy I still believe in that can really play. He falls into that category that I mentioned earlier of guys who left here, who were high character guys. To get Randall back is really special. It's something that I talked about back in February, wanting to bring in a true slot receiver. I thought would make our offense more dynamic, and I think Randall's a dynamic player. He has been when he's been healthy.
We're now joined by former Packer and NFL analyst Greg Jennings. So, Greg, what impact will Randall Cobb have on Green Bay this season?
I think he actually will have a huge impact. Believe it or not, Randall has never been a high volume catch guy, a yards guy, but he's always been high production when it matters most. Very dependable, very smart in understanding the game and what's being expected of his quarterback and the offense. And so when you add a guy like that alongside Davante Adams, it takes and alleviates pressure. Now you give your play caller another option that is going to be consistent. Again, you heard Aaron Rodgers talk in that presser saying when he is healthy, and that is the key. For Randall Cobb to be healthy, if he is healthy, he will be very impactful because Aaron Rodgers will want him to succeed. He's going to be put in positions to succeed. And ultimately, they have a young draft pick, Amari Rodgers, someone who they want to become what Randall Cobb was, if not even more. And so he has someone who can model it right in front of him and kind of tutor him and mentor him along his process and his journey so he can get jump started in the right direction. But I think more than anything, just adding that added veteran presence in that locker room, someone who understands what the quarterback wants in Aaron Rodgers and knows how to lead without always having to garner attention or the ball. So I think he's going to be very impactful. How impactful is going to be dependent on his health.
I'll agree with impact in terms of leadership, but I will not agree with impact in terms of production. You know, he had one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league. They didn't win very much in Houston, but Deshaun Watson was playing some inspired football, and he was delivering that ball. And Randall Cobb was only good enough for 10 games, 38 receptions for 383 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. I don't see him being a large impact on this team statistically. Yes, he's familiar with Aaron, and Aaron is familiar with him. But I do not see him being this guy who impacts the team. You look at Davante Adams. He's a 1,300-yard guy. Next guy up is Valdez Scantling. He's 690 yards. And then the next one is 586, Robert Tanyan, the tight end. They have their main receivers. They have their main weapons. They are established. I do believe he will be a good spot guy, a possessional guy. I do think the value there is the leadership quality. And if we're looking at measuring the impact of his leadership, he'll have a great impact. If we're looking at the impact statistically and him impacting a game, win or loss, I don't think it's very much at all.
Wouldn't it be nice if the Packers just drafted a wide receiver, you know, and appease Aaron Rodgers that way? Can't do it that way. I mean, this is obviously something that Aaron wanted, and it was a concession that the Packers are making for him, which I think that they should do. Now, that does not really take away from Randall. I mean, like we said, he has to stay healthy, and they have a strong receiving core as is. So he can add some value in that space. He's a veteran guy. Aaron's very comfortable with him. Similar to Gronk in Tampa Bay, this is a guy who can come in, not necessarily be high volume. He's not somebody you're going to go to repeatedly in big spots, but he can be very influential, and especially in the postseason, he can have big moments because they have the chemistry. He knows the system. He knows Aaron Rodgers. They're on the same page together. And Greg, as you know, there's extreme value to having that kind of relationship with the quarterback. So as long as he's healthy and if it makes Aaron Rodgers happy and he's contributing to the locker room environment, which Aaron has stressed time and time again is very important to him, this culture, this environment in Green Bay of inclusivity and everybody being on the same page. So I think he has a lot of value outside of just being a high-volume receiver, which no one's really asking him or expecting him to be.
Yeah, for Aaron Rodgers, I think it's great because it allows him to come out of the summer and all that drama and turmoil and say, you know what, at least I got one win. I mean, I got L's everywhere else, but at least I got one W, right? And then I got my friend Randall Cobb back. Geez. But I could see that it could potentially have as much negative impact as it does positive. And that's because Randall Cobb isn't just coming back. He's coming back with a $10 million contract, and there is an already robust wide receiver core there. And he's coming back because Aaron Rodgers wants him there. So I'll defer to you, Greg, in terms of how that could potentially play, because I don't know Randall Cobb's personality, and I don't know Davante Adams' personality or Amari Rodgers and how all of that is going to fit together, or whether the money a guy's making and the production not necessarily living up to that, and maybe getting a few more balls or getting targeted a few more times that in the structure of what we've been doing before this, he might be getting than the other wide receivers thinks he deserves. Like, how the politics of all that potentially plays inside of a team and keeping that from turning into something bigger. Like, that would be my concern because of the dynamics that brought Randall back and the price tag that he's carrying with him and the unlikelihood that he's going to be able to live up to that contract. I'm not saying it can't work, but it does kind of raise a question for me of, okay, so how are you going to make this work?
Yeah, Rick, you make a great point when you talk about his price tag, but you got to think about the culture that he's going back to. That's never been a concern. Guys are never going to talk about in that locker room in Green Bay what another guy's making, what they wish they should be making, or what they wish they shouldn't be making, what have you. That's just not the culture there. And so I want to touch on something that Joy said. Like, he's not going to be utilized in this robust role of, okay, Randall, we need you to catch 70 to 100 balls this year. Now, he could very well do that, but that's not the role. Look at how Matt LaFleur uses his guys. It's in particular that running back room. He cycles them around so that they can stay fresh. He wants them fresh at the end of the season so that his best can give their best performances. Kind of like what you alluded to, Joy. Gronkowski, when did he have his best showing? In the most important game in all of football, the Super Bowl. That's what they want the role of Randall Cobb to be. Have great moments, make big catches, clutch catches like he's always done. He's never really been the guy that you expect to lead the team in receiving yards or receptions or touchdowns, but he just has a knack of making really important plays, big plays, and consistent plays. And so when you talk about his leadership, it's going to be both on the field as well as off the field. But his statistics, they've never been something that we can say, oh, Randall Cobb is going to be at the top of the receiver list in all of football. That's never been his MO. So that's not going to be his expectation going into year 11 in Green Bay.
Yeah, that's not the expectation. And they're trading for him. So they're not the one that gave him this contract. Like, this is the contract that he has, and they're trading for him with that contract. So it's not like in the room people can be angry about what he's making when they're bringing him in. And everyone knows what the deal is this year. Like, this is the year that obviously they're going to make some concessions to Aaron Rodgers. And for that matter, I believe this is Aaron Rodgers' last year here in Green Bay. So if you're on this team and you are seeing everything that's happened this offseason, and now you're seeing Randall Cobb come in and you're hearing that press conference from Aaron Rodgers today, you should be locked in, and this is a go all in year. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you could have a really good chance of doing that with the league MVP, Aaron Rodgers, and he is going to go all in this year. He is going to be focused this year on doing just that because he's probably out of here at the end of the season. So, again, I don't see this as a big, high volume move. It feels very Gronkowski, Tampa Bay. Like I said, it's not going to be a big ask of Randall Cobb. If he stays healthy, he's going to be utilized in big moments, and hopefully he'll be healthy in the postseason when Aaron Rodgers can rely on him being a veteran and them being on the same page, him keeping the culture, the mantra that Aaron wants to set for this season throughout the locker room.
Did Gronkowski have a tremendous impact on Tampa Bay during the regular season?
It's not all about the regular season.
Well, I'm just saying, did he have a tremendous impact? So I'm just saying, if we're answering the question, what type of impact, I think the question, the way it's being answered is great, and I think it's very favorable and it's commendable towards Randall Cobb and the player that he is. But if we're answering this question and it's apples to apples and answering the question, he's not going to have a tremendous impact on this team's success as it applies to on the field. Now, if we're measuring it based off of leadership, again, I'll say based off of leadership, familiarity, I can see him having an impact. But I don't think Rob Gronkowski had that big of an impact for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He didn't have that much of an impact in the playoffs. He had maybe one or two big plays, and he had a big Super Bowl. That's what happened. That's not impact. outside of one game. So to me, if I'm looking at what he's bringing to the table for this team, I mean, I might sound like the Debbie Downer of this praise committee of Randall Cobb, and I that's your former teammate, right, G. Jones? Like, I get that you guys like Randall, but he's not going to have that big of an impact. That's just the case. That's just what it is.
I actually tend to agree with LeVar on this. And I do believe even the trading for him, yes, the Green Bay Packers didn't give him that contract. But the fact of the matter is they're bringing him in with that contract, which could negatively impact how Devontae Adams or Mario Rodgers or somebody else is going to get paid. So they're looking at it and say, well, you brought him in here knowing what he's making, and that could potentially affect all of us. I think the other concern I have is that Randall was with a really good quarterback. It's not as if he's going with an average quarterback and now he's joining Aaron Rodgers, so we expect him that the reason that he's had the fall off the last couple of years is because he was with bad quarterbacks and he'll be rejuvenated by this. It's also his age. Well, at 31, that's right at the cusp of where we start to see the decline with most wide receivers. So is it good for Aaron Rodgers? Absolutely. Do I think that Randall Cobb is going to be some game changer, even if they get to the Super Bowl? I can't go that far, and I think there's a little bit of potential for this going the wrong way rather than the right way.
Yeah, this is where I disagree. Again, even when you talk about he was with a really good quarterback, and that quarterback being Deshaun Watson, yes, he was. But if you understand how they ran offense down in Houston versus in Green Bay, completely different. They were 5 wide, probably more than anyone in the National Football League. And it was consistent. And it's like, okay, drop back and find somebody, get open. In Green Bay, that is not the case. You are going to be schemed. You are going to be put in position to be successful. And so when you have a quarterback who is mindful, which Aaron Rodgers obviously is going to be mindful when Randall Cobb is on the field and look at matchups and see who has the better matchup, he's going to be productive because of those various reasons. And so this is why I disagree. It's not about always age. It's about understanding who you have, what your expectations of them are, and how to effectively utilize them. That is something that the Green Bay Packers will be mindful of. This is why Randall Cobb will end up having an impact on their season as well as the postseason if they are to make it.
Okay, Green Bay Packers.
I actually
Coming
feel
up,
better now.
Brian Flores is excited about Tua this season. We'll tell you if he should be next on Speak for Yourself. All right, let's head out to Miami. Tua was 6-3 in his rookie season as a starter, but The Athletic wrote his upcoming second season is a, quote, make or break year. His own coach, Brian Flores, was more optimistic, saying Tua has made a lot of progress, adding, quote, we're excited about Tua. So, Greg, you're back, but I want to go over to the Dolphins fan in the room. So let's ask Joy, should the Dolphins be excited about Tua?
Sure, of course. I mean, they went all in on him, so why not be optimistic? It's his team now. And look, I'm not completely sold. Maybe I'm being a little harsh or overreactive or impatient, but I've suffered for a very long time with this Miami Dolphins without a quarterback, so you'll have to forgive me. I didn't see anything dramatic last year that convinced me that he is the guy. You know, it was his rookie year, and it was split between him and Ryan Fitzpatrick, which I maintain was a mistake because you're not going to win multiple playoff games with Ryan Fitzpatrick, so what's the value? You took Tua where you took him. So unless he was not healthy at the beginning of the season, which wasn't really communicated, then he should have been out there. You have to let guys go. You can rise, you can fail. There is value in learning how to play the game. I do think Tua will be better than he was last year because it is his team, because he's had a full actual offseason. He's going to learn the playbook. I do think he will be a better player than he was last year, and they should be excited about him. Fans should be excited about him. go all in. I have concerns. I have reservations. I also feel like there is a lot more pressure on Tua than people are paying attention to. He's always going to be compared to Joe Burrow. He's always going to be compared to Justin Herbert. And now he's always going to be compared to Trey Lance because they had that pick and they traded out of it, and that pick became Trey Lance. So I think there is actually a lot of pressure and not as much runway with Tua as some of these other rookie quarterbacks have in the situations that they're in. But why not? Be excited about it. They have completely gone in on him as the future, so there's nothing to not be excited about.
Exactly. You got to be excited about him. And you're saying that you're excited about him when you look at what they've done this offseason. They've surrounded him with everything that lets us and leads us to believe, yes, we're all in on Tua. We're going to give and support everything that he needs to ensure that he can be successful. When you go and you draft a former teammate, Jalen Waddle, someone who he had already developed a rapport with, and then you have a Devontae Parker coming back, hopefully healthy. You have Mike Gesicki. You have the tight end there. You have so many weapons. You go get Will Fuller from free agency. So you have pieces. You get Malcolm Brown, a veteran running back that did wonders for Cam Akers in Los Angeles with the Rams last year. So I like what they've done, and they're telling us, yes, we're all in on Tua. Now it's going to be up to him to show us what we saw when he was in Alabama, when he was healthy.
There you go.
And so that's those 2 points that Joy made, them going all in and him being healthy and them possibly not communicating the extent of where he was in his process. Maybe that weighed into what we saw last year, but this year that is no longer on the board. It is about Tua and making sure he progresses and be successful.
I love what you said, Greg. In fact, take a listen to this because I had already said this. Check it out. Tua, in specific, I believe will have a better year. I think that he has more awareness of it. He's alluded to it as much in conversations that he's had with the media. He feels as though he has a better understanding, a better grasp of the game at this point. Yeah. So it's kind of what you just said, Greg. Like, to me, it's the awareness. It's further out from the injury. You're closer to having a level of just normalcy with everything that's taking place. And listen, with all of those weapons, an improved coaching, right? You've had improved coaching since getting drafted. You got a good defense that you can lean on so you don't have to get out of sorts and press and push to try to be something that you're not. I think Tua is in perfect position to be able to prove his detractors wrong and be able to prove the people that believe in him and are looking for him to have a good year, prove them right. He's a humble warrior. If you've ever spent time with him, he's very cerebral, he's very down to earth, and he's hungry. He's willing to do what it takes to be great. And somebody who has the resume that he has and has done as well as he has done, I don't count winners out. I don't count winners out that are aware of what they need to try to do in order to improve themselves. So I'm bullish on Tua to have a really, really good year.
No. They can be excited about Tua. They can't say they're excited about Tua. Joy, you're just being smart by expressing your cautious optimism as a fan, your concern. And the team should do the same thing, because what you're doing is you're setting up an unreal or unfair expectation for Tua. We are really excited. He's going to rip the cover off of this season. And then what if he doesn't? I'm fully on board with the idea that the struggles last year might have been because he was coming back from the hip injury and he wasn't quite right, and having another year under his belt and the improved team around him is going to make things better. I will leave that open. But to Joy's point, it's not just can he be a functional quarterback. It's going to be, can he be better than Trey Lance? Can he be better than or equal to Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow? That's where the bar is set. And so rather than say we're cautiously optimistic, we're moving in the right direction, all of which is positive, all of which is giving to adapt, rather than we are, and Brian Flores didn't just say he's excited. He said, I'm really excited. And I don't necessarily believe everything that Brian Flores says about quarterbacks anyway, and I think I have justification for feeling that way. Now, Ryan Fitzpatrick saying people being critical of Tua is unfair. He's better than that. He's going to show you this year. I give that a little more credence. Again, Ryan Fitzpatrick, good guy, former teammate, wants to see Tua do well. I would expect that. But from Flores' standpoint and the franchise's standpoint, don't set him up to fail. The bar was already set so high when he came into the league, and then we had the injury, and we knew that he wasn't going to be able to live up to it. Allow him to take the baby steps and get back there. So don't start talking about in the start of training camp, for God's sake, that we're going to take OTAs and go, man, I'm really excited about Tua. Don't do that for Tua's sake.
He was 6-3 as a starter. Jeez.
We're not going to the record, are we?
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason that they kept yo-yoing between the two quarterbacks.
6-3.
Let's not suggest that.
It's not easy.
But
to
let's
not
also
games.
let's not also.
Do we
say
need to go to the passer rating or the QBR or the statistics?
But Rick, you're saying they're setting him up to fail by saying they're excited. How is that setting him up to fail? Even last year, being drafted high as he was, being their first overall pick, he was not going to ever reach that status or that bar.
Get him.
That's unfair because just like it was said in the media about Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, Tua should be taken in front of him, and we didn't know if they would be the better. Then they go out and they play excellent, and they have great success in their year one. Now all of a sudden, oh my gosh, Tua is trash. Look, it's okay. We've been spoiled by these young men coming into this game and having early success to where we automatically think the moment someone doesn't have success right out the gate, they're trash.
They're a bust. Yeah.
I'm not saying
can't get excited about them.
6 wins.
No, Greg,
games.
but here's the thing. Based on what you saw last year, based on what we saw last year with Tua, anybody in their right mind, Joy is in her right mind. She hopes that Tua can live up to expectations. We don't have any grounds at this point to believe that he's going to live up to expectations. No, we don't. We do not.
Why
what
not?
have we seen?
I tell you why we do.
Tell them, G.
Because film doesn't lie. The same film we saw last year, it's film that we saw at Alabama. We've seen what he's capable of. And so when you've seen what someone is capable of, and they didn't even scratch the surface, it's like, wait, something's not quite right. Something's not hitting on all cylinders. And so because of that, we still showcase the excitement of what could potentially be, because we have seen it. You don't try to be great when you've been great. You just live it. You do it. And that's what Tua has to do. Go out there and just be who we've seen you as in the past, period. Just go be great, buddy.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's all on him now. The defense is in place. The special teams is there. You got the coaching. They added some offensive weapons. It's all on Tua now, and we'll see how long the runway is.
You don't sound positive.
Yes, we will. Because we haven't yet seen.
You don't sound positive, Joe.
Coming up, Trey Lance signed his rookie contract today. We'll tell you when we expect to see him start for the 49ers next on Speak for Yourself.
Trey Lance won't miss any training camp for the 49ers since he signed his 4-year rookie deal today. Lance was the number 3 overall pick, but Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the roster. But Kyle Shanahan nixed any idea of a QB controversy. Take a listen.
There's no open competition right now in terms of they're getting equal reps with the same group. Jimmy's coming in as the 1, Jimmy and Trey's coming in as the 2. You know, going through OTAs, what he's done, I mean, he's our best quarterback in the building right now. So he'll start out training camp that way, and we got 3 other guys behind him.
So with all that said, LeVar, when do you expect Trey Lance to play or start for the 49ers?
Probably mid-season if Jimmy Garoppolo stays healthy. Now, let me just start by saying this. I did DC radio for many years, and during the time I was there, the Shanahans were there as coaches. And one thing that I can tell Kyle Shanahan does, the same way that his dad does, is I could be looking at Joy, and I could say, Joy, you're wearing an orange dress today, and your hair is blown out, and it's curly, and your lipstick is that of a different color, like orange, right? And it's totally off. They will lie to your face as if it is the truth. That's something that they do, and they have no problem doing it. Now, of course, Joey doesn't have on those things, but the point I'm making is that the Shanahans, they're deceptive. So for him to say that there is no quarterback controversy yet is an indicator that there is truly a quarterback competition that's going to take place. You don't spend that high of a draft pick on a guy for it not to be a competition in your training camp. We've listened to all of the things that have been said about Garoppolo. How many times has he been traded? Even Kyle Shanahan got involved in conversations that they were less than flattering about Jimmy G. So to me, Jimmy G is going to have to fight to hold his job. Jimmy G is going to have to stay healthy to try to hold his job. And even then, I don't think that it'll be enough for him to hold off Trey Lance. I give it to midseason.
I don't buy that. I think that this is Jimmy G's team for the rest of this season unless he gets injured. Now, look, it's Jimmy G. So if I had to put my money on him not getting injured, I would not feel good about it because that's what he does. He gets injured. So I'm saying if he doesn't get injured, we will not see Trey Lance this year. I do believe him that there is no quarterback competition right now because Trey Lance hasn't played football in 2 years. He hasn't been on a football field in a very long time. He's had 318 pass attempts at North Dakota State. That's the fewest college passes thrown by any first-round quarterback in the last 40 years. So do I think that Trey Lance has huge potential? Yes. Do I think he will be a star in this league eventually? Yes. Do I think he's the future of this organization? Yes, 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 but not right now. And that's the benefit that Shanahan has right now with Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is a starting quarterback in this league. He is very talented. He just had this team in the Super Bowl. You can talk about the defense, but he plays one side of the ball, okay? And he was a huge contributor to them being there. Now, what's the problem? Why is Trey Lance there? Because Jimmy Garoppolo can't stay healthy. So I think this is a great situation for the 49ers to come back with Jimmy Garoppolo. Hopefully he makes it through the season healthy. If that's the case, Trey Lance gets an opportunity to go through an entire offseason to learn the playbook, to learn how to be a pro. And while I don't always think that's the case, we'll talk about a player in just a minute that I think the complete opposite of the situation. But in Trey Lance's case, because he's had such little experience, because he hasn't played in so long, I think the benefit that they have right now is they have Garoppolo, play him for the season. Now, look, if they make it to, the trading deadline and Jimmy Garoppolo is looking good and they feel great about Trey Lance, and Trey Lance is this insane prodigy that's picked everything up, and they have an unbelievable trade offer for Jimmy Garoppolo from a team that's lost their quarterback. Okay, I could see that happening as well. Wow. But I think what they'll do is do right by Jimmy G, who's been amazing throughout this process. Now, unlike Green Bay, they did communicate with Jimmy G that they were going to take a quarterback, so that helps. But he admitted at first he wanted to ask for a trade, and then he took a moment, calmed down, thought about it, and was like, I'm going to earn my next job, which is the right and fair thing to do. He's been open with Trey Lance, and they have a relationship, so I think he's handling this all the best way possible. He gets through the season healthy. He's going to have an opportunity to go somewhere that needs a quarterback, that needs a starter, but isn't in a position to draft one. And I think the 49ers will do right by Jimmy G at the end of the season if he's healthy and in that situation. But no, I don't think we're going to see Trey Lance unless Jimmy G gets injured. I'm
going to stick a pin in the calendar and say it's going to be the 6th game against the Indianapolis Colts. That's when we're going to see Trey Lance start.
Detail.
Being based in the Bay Area, I have my spies. So what I've been told is Trey Lance is not ready to run this team right now. To Joy's point, has not played a lot of football lately.
That's military.
He is raw as raw can be. But what they do love about him is his swagger. He doesn't know that he's raw. He doesn't believe that he's not ready. He believes that he's ready to lead this team to a Super Bowl right now. And that's the element that got Kyle Shanahan to take him in the first place.
Exactly.
Because he doesn't see that kind of confidence in Jimmy G. So when I look at their schedule, coming out against the Eagles and the Lions, those should be wins. But then the schedule gets tough and the expectations are high. And when we start playing the Packers and the Seahawks, and suddenly we're looking at a 500 record, and we're going to Arizona, and even if they win, if they're not playing to the level that a Super Bowl contender should be, that opens the door for the Indianapolis Colts at home and Trey Lance to make his debut. I'm not even considering the injury factor, which is a fair factor because usually if it goes bad early for Jimmy G when it comes to an injury. I just look at what they invested in Trey Lance and how they feel about Jimmy G and what his prospects are, healthy or otherwise, to lead them where they want to go. And the first opportunity they have to turn the page and go to Trey Lance, they're going to take it.
We shall see. Coming up, should Andy Dalton be the Bears starter, or should they go with the rookie Justin Fields? We'll answer that next on Speak For Yourself.
Andy Dalton came to Chicago with the expectation of being the starter, and he has not wavered from that thought. The Bears traded up to draft Justin Fields with the 11th pick, but the veteran quarterback says that doesn't affect him, adding, quote, he's a first-round pick. I understand that, but I also understand that I am the starter. What? So, Rick, should Andy Dalton be the starter in Chicago?
Yes, absolutely he should be the starter. And it's not because I don't see Justin Fields as being the future quarterback of this franchise. But let's take a lesson from history. And anytime you can give a rookie quarterback a little bit of time to acclimate, especially if he's coming to a team, a Bears team that was perfectly mediocre a year ago, you do it. Andy Dalton, this is not a Andy Dalton's taking them somewhere. And I understand Bears fans, you've had, 2 wild card losses over the last 10, 11 years to show for your team's exploits. So I get where, you're excited about Justin Fields and you want to see this team going, and it was going somewhere. But now that Aaron Rodgers is back in Green Bay, and I'm looking around, I'm not expecting anything from the Bears this season. So what's the hurry? Allow this team to evolve a little bit. Allow Justin Fields to get his feet wet and get acclimated and get adjusted to the speed of the NFL game, and make sure that when you put him out there, that he's not suddenly going to be intimidated or affected by the change in the game and the fact that he doesn't have the advantages that he had at Ohio State with the talent advantage around him to make things better and easier. So it's not that I don't believe in Justin Fields. It's not that I don't believe that he's ultimately going to be the better quarterback and should be the starting quarterback. I just don't see what the rush is to make him the starter right now, because it's going to or could short-circuit his development in the long term.
The rush is just like the same rush for the San Francisco 49ers, regardless of what was said in the last segment. The rush for Tua,
which is not a rush,
to make or break year. The rush for Joe Burrow or any other first-round top draft pick in the league. The rush is you want to see how well that player can play, especially at the quarterback's position. I'll go here, and I think this is a very simple argument, and it's very easy. What did Andy Dalton do in Dallas this past season? Nothing. Why isn't Andy Dalton still in Dallas as maybe a backup? They don't want him.
Not about Andy Dalton.
They don't want Andy Dalton. Why isn't Andy Dalton still in Cincinnati? They don't want him either. So now you land in your third team, and he's supposed to just automatically be crowned the starting quarterback. He has now turned from draft pick starter, possible transition to franchise quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, to traveler. He is a free agent traveler, stopgap. He is not supposed to be crowned the starting quarterback before you compete for the job. He's not of that caliber at this point. So, Joy, I say, if he wins the job, okay, then you're buying time for Justin Fields to develop. But Justin Fields should certainly have the opportunity to compete for the starting job from the jump.
100%. Andy Dalton is a backup quarterback in this league right now. This is not the same situation as Trey Lance, who hasn't played any football in the last 2 years. This is not the same situation as Tua, who is coming off of a massive hip injury. Justin Fields has played a lot of football at a very high level. Most of the games that he played in college, he was the best player on the field. Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow, starter.
On a really
Justin
good
Herbert,
team.
Starter. Okay. So Joe Burrow was on a pretty good team. I'm pretty sure they won the national championship game, and he was a starter. All the other rookies start.
I'm not putting Justin Fields in Joe Burrow's
If Andy Dalton
category.
is that much better than Justin Fields in camp, okay, fine. But this idea that Andy Dalton is just anointed the starter, absolutely not. Justin Fields should be playing if he's capable. If it's even, you turn the team over to Justin Fields. This is Justin Fields' team. It's Justin Fields' city moving forward. If I'm a Chicago Bears fan, I don't want to hear any of this. Right. Unless Andy Dalton is miles ahead of Justin Fields at the end of camp, Justin Fields needs to be the starter. The last time the Bears had an all-pro was Johnny Lujack in 1950. I need some Justin Fields in my life if I'm a Bears fan, and if they want to keep their jobs and they want to keep this great fan base engaged, Justin Fields needs to be on the field. Sharks are born swimming. Let him have it. Coming up, Aaron Rodgers says he's happy to be back in Green Bay. We'll tell you if we've reached a resolution in the Rodgers saga next.
They can't swim backwards either.
Aaron Rodgers said today that he would not be back in Green Bay if he was not 100% all in. Rodgers aired out a lot of issues in front of the media today and what could possibly be his last season as a Packer. So, LeVar, have we reached a resolution in the Aaron Rodgers saga?
No, it's just the other side of the table's move. Aaron Rodgers is masterfully moving his pieces. He's flanking that. Guys like y'all are looking at them try to control the center of the board, while Aaron Rodgers is moving his bishop to the sides and getting his knights in the way and about to castle. Now it's Green Bay's turn to make a move, but right now they are behind in this game, if you ask me. No resolution. Still again.
Not yet. No resolution yet. But other than we figured out that I'm not Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind, and LeVar Arrington is actually Russell Crowe / John Nash in A Beautiful Mind, in coming up with all of these crazy theories and seeing things that are not there. This won't be resolved until Aaron Rodgers ultimately gets what he wants, which is to get out of Green Bay, because they don't run the organization the way he wants with the people he wants. So we've got another year to wait until this is ultimately resolved. And maybe not even then, because Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the wherewithal to just unilaterally leave.
No, he can just say he wants to trade, and they're probably going to have to do it at that point, which is why they knocked the last year off the contract and made all these provisions for him, and Randall Cobb is coming back, and he just nailed it with the press conference today, coming in with a lot of humility and transparency and talking about what he felt like he deserved, which is very tough to argue against. I don't think that this is resolved completely. I think it's resolved for now. We will see the full circle of this whole saga at the end of the season when they do come to the table and hash out how the season went and what they're going to do moving forward. I do think this is the last dance for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and I thought he was masterful at that press conference today. Thank you, guys. That's it for us. We'll see you tomorrow on Speak for Yourself.